Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing something different. If you're watching this video, I am likely in the country of Japan right now for my late honeymoon, and I figured I'd get some content out while I'm in Japan, but not something super high quality. Not that this isn't cool content, it's just not going to be as high quality as my higher edited videos and stuff like that. Today, we're going to be ranking every single boss from the Sly Cooper franchise. That's Sly 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, the bad one. We're going to be ranking all the bosses, and it's kind of just going to be on a scale of difficulty, story, and just what I think of the boss fight overall. Obviously, this is my opinion. You guys do not have to agree with it. It's just my opinion. Because I have played these games many, many times, and I do enjoy a lot of the boss fights, but there's also quite a few that are relatively lackluster. We're going to start off with the first game, and then just go in ascending order to the fourth game. So, let's go ahead and start with Sir Rowley. And this is a pretty good boss fight. I mean, it's obviously a very basic boss fight. He has like two moves. He tries to jump on you, and he tries to hit you with his tongue. That's really all he has. You just have to jump between platform and platform. It's a good test of your platforming skills, but when it comes to an overall boss fight, it is very simple. And I think it kind of is meant to be very simple, because obviously it's the first boss of the game. So I feel like there's not a lot we can do for Sir Rowley. We're just going to place him right in the middle of B tier. I think that's very, very fair. I don't think he's an amazing boss, but he's definitely not a bad boss. So, respectable position in the middle. Next up, we have Mugshot. Mugshot, on the other hand, is actually a really, really cool boss. He's featured in probably the best chapter in the first game, and he's a really difficult fight for your first playthrough. I know I died to this guy many, many times, but once you get the hang of it, he's not too bad. I just think a big bulldog with pistols that can barely speak proper English or use any big words is just a really cool boss. And story-wise, it makes sense. So I think he deserves to be above Raleigh for sure at an A tier. Now, here's the controversial one. Ms. Ruby is next. And weirdly enough, not a lot of people like Ms. Ruby, and I do understand why. Ms. Ruby, in my opinion, is a banger of a fight, because I love rhythm games and I'm really good at them. So when I came to this fight and it was a rhythm game, I was like, this is freaking awesome, S tier easily. And she is my favorite boss in probably, maybe not in the whole franchise, but she's definitely up there as a really good boss fight in my opinion. The problem is the PS3 port. The PS3 port desyncs the music. The music is entirely unsynced, and it makes getting the rhythm to the beat a million times harder, and that is why so many people hate this boss fight. Like, the timing is still the same, but it no longer matches the music, and matching the music with the timing is the whole point of a rhythm-based section in a game. It's why a lot of people don't like Secret Agent Clank, because the rhythm just isn't what it should be on, like, the PS2 version specifically. So, I still love this fight. I'm still going to rank her way higher than you guys would. But that's just because I have a personal bias. I really love rhythm games, and I love this fight. But I do understand the argument of the PS3 version being really desynced and just being terrible and miserable to get through. I understand. I'm still going to give her an A tier, below Mugshot, but above Sir Rowley. Next up is the Panda King. And the Panda King is by far probably the easiest fight in the entire franchise. It's just, I've never been hit by this boss. You just keep walking in a circle, jumping diagonally, and then going up to hit him. He has like two moves that he can use when he's close to you. I think he has Fiery Fist and Palms of Thunder. I think that's all he can use when he's next to you. And then he just shoots like some fireballs at you from far away. There's not a lot he can do, but he is a good boss fight. I do like him. And he was actually planned to be the first boss to take over Sir Raleigh, but then they ended up moving China to Chapter 4, because I guess it fit more, which makes sense, because the enemies in Chapter 4 are harder than the enemies in Chapter 1, but the boss is easier in Chapter 4 than Chapter 1. In my opinion, King Panda is easier than Raleigh. But he's still a really good boss, so I'm going to give him B tier. I'm going to put him above Raleigh, though, because he does have a larger moveset, and he does have a cooler story. Alright, next up, we're going to be finishing Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus with the final boss, Clockwork. Clockwork has been after Sly and his ancestors for years, and he is not going to let Sly escape his clutches without an absolute cinematic ending. Clockwork is probably the best boss fight in the entire franchise. I don't think any of us can deny that. It's super awesome, it's super cinematic, and there's many different phases. Not to mention the plot twist after you beat him that he's not actually dead, so you know he's going to return in Sly 2. I don't think there's anything wrong with this boss fight that would make anybody not put it straight in S tier. I mean, it really is an amazing fight, and it's such an amazing ending to the first game in the franchise. Alright, we're now moving on to Sly 2 Band of Thieves, my personal favorite game in the entire franchise. And we have one of my favorite Claw Gang members, Dimitri. This one is going to be ranked very biased, but when it comes to an actual Claw Gang member, I mean, his story's fine. I mean, using the tail feathers to print money is kind of petty, but I mean, you gotta operate your nightclub somehow, so I guess it's fine. He also has the sweetest greasy sweet mix on the planet, and his soundtrack is absolute fire. When it comes to a boss fight, he is decently difficult with his projectiles, but as long as you learn his patterns and like hide behind the walls, you should be fine. It's overall not a tough boss fight. It does suck that his second chapter in Monaco was scrapped, but I still think he had a good storyline, and because I love him so much, I'm just going to put him in A tier. But I'm going to put him above Ms. Ruby, and I think that's very fair, because Ms. Ruby, not a lot of people like her, and I understand that. I'm ranking her high because I like her, but I understand a lot more people in the community like Dimitri. I think this is a fair ranking for him. Next up, we have Rajan, the second member of the Claw Gang. And his 2 chapters are really fun. Chapter 3, we beat Rajan, and this is honestly a very difficult fight. Because not only is it our first boss fight where we use Murray, but his moveset is like, it's really easy to like predict and dodge, but you can get really unlucky and hit the laser barrier, and you can miss a lily pad, or the enemies could stun lock you. It's a decently tough fight. I've died to it a lot, but over the years I've gotten a lot better at it. I do respect it as a fight a lot. I really like it, and I definitely think it's one of the better fights in the franchise, but I don't think it quite deserves A tier. So I'm just going to put it high B tier, because I think he is a good fight, don't get me wrong, and I love the twist afterwards, but I don't think he's the best fight in Sly 2. Now, moving on to who I think is the greatest Claw Gang villain in the entire game, the Contessa. The Contessa story is just absolutely insane. She literally gets a hold of Sly and Murray and locks them up, puts you in the most intense chapter in the game, where you just play as Bentley and you have to save your friends. And the actual boss fight on Chapter 5 is actually pretty difficult, because you fight her once and it's not that bad. Then you fight her again and she gets the hypnosis move, which reverses your controls. It is a crazy fight, and it has you on the edge of your seat the entire time. I don't see any reason that anybody would not put this in A tier, even above Mugshot. This is the highest A tier one so far. It is such an amazing fight, and I think it's probably one of the best in the franchise. Again, probably the best in Sly 2, to be brutally honest. Not to spoil anything ahead, but I think it's the best in Sly 2. Jean Bisson is next. I think Contessa and Jean Bisson share some of the best chapters in the game, but unfortunately, when it comes to his actual boss fight, it's made out to be this really menacing, scary, big guy. But then when it comes to the actual boss fight, you just have Bentley and you're just calling down Sly to bring down different traps and stuff. I felt like he was a very disappointing and way too easy of a fight. So he's actually going to take the first spot in C tier. I think he's a really cool concept, but I really just don't think the fight was really worth anything. It was very simple, and it made this extremely menacing guy trivial. And we're going to be skipping Arpeggio just because he isn't actually fought. It is instead Clockla. And you guys know how I feel about Clockla. I think Clockla is easily the most disappointing last boss. My only problem with this fight is the helicopter section is fine. The beating her up section is fine because it's super easy. It's the paraglider section that makes me so upset, because this mission is so hard for no reason. I always end up missing. Like, whenever I'm doing this paragliding platforming section, I always end up just mistiming it or missing one of the platforms entirely. Then you have to restart it all over again. It's very frustrating. But everybody knows this boss fight sucks, and I'm just going to be blunt with you guys. We're actually just going to put it in B tier above Sir Raleigh, because, I mean, Sir Raleigh is a fine fight, but Clockla at least has the cinematic ending. Alright, that's it for Sly 2 Band of Thieves. We are now moving on to Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves, where the bosses in this game really step up in quality. First up, we have Octavio, the opera singer. And this boss fight is actually, in my opinion, pretty difficult. You basically have to lure him in to the tar pit, which Murray will then turn on, which slows him down. He has a pretty quick moveset, and he has a very annoying opera singing voice that just sends you so far back if it hits you. He also has a lot of health and 2 different phases. He is a really solid fight, and I definitely will give him a high B tier. Next up is, I don't actually know the name of this thing, I'm just gonna call it The Mask. And basically, this boss fight just takes over Carmelita, makes her grow like 1,000 times her normal size, and I'm sure that's a kink for some people. but I didn't really care for it, and the boss fight overall was very easy. You literally just climbed her, and that was really it. I think this just deserves the bottom of C tier. I mean, it's a whatever fight, but it was really disappointing to go through this entire chapter being like, oh, this mask is going to be such a menace, and then you just unhook it and it dies. Moving on to the Black Baron. This is a really good boss fight. Obviously, this is Penelope. For anybody who's not aware, this is how you recruit Penelope, and it's a really tough fight. You have to fight it on the right plane wing of a very small plane, and it's very easy to fall off, very easy to get chopped up, and he also sends reinforcements. I guess she also sends reinforcements very often. Really fun fight, though. I still have troubles with this fight to this day. We're gonna put Black Baron above Octavio. Next up is General Tsao, and you guys know that this is probably known as the best boss in Sly 3 to some people. It's not my favorite boss, but I can respect it. Now, when I'm ranking General Tsao, technically I'm only ranking his fight. I'm not ranking the dragon fight, but we do beat General Tsao up like halfway through the chapter, so I'm counting it that fight, and that fight is very difficult. It starts off on bamboo, and you have to do a cool double jumping kind of mechanic and then hit him midair, which is already really cool. It introduces new movement options and honestly a really cool just concept for movement. And then it takes you down below the bamboo trees, and that's where all hell breaks loose. He uses his shield to chop him down. He sends these little ghost dogs at you. This boss fight is intense and very difficult. I still cannot beat this boss fight first try. But when it comes to story-wise, I really like him. Difficulty-wise, I really like it. I think he easily deserves an A tier right below the Contessa. Next up, we have Le Fouet. And Le Fouet is another boss that, unfortunately, has a really cool chapter, a really cool build-up. But once it comes to the actual fight, you literally just sink his ship and then fight him with Penelope. And that's like a 30-second endeavor. Like, once you figure out the controls, at first, it's a little tricky, but once you figure out the controls, it's over. It's such an easy fight. I think it literally goes below Jambi-san. Like, it's very disappointing. It's so easy. And for it being the second to last boss, it's just crazy. Next up, we have Dr. M, the final boss of Sly 3. You fight him in the Cooper Vault, and this guy really, really tests your skills. His first phase, you have to learn your new thieving tech that you learned from your father in the Cooper Vault to kind of move onto these laser areas and get out of his way until you can bring him down and hit him. And then the second phase is just an onslaught of him trying to kick your ass. It is an absolutely amazing fight. It is definitely the hardest fight in the entire franchise, and I will never back down on that. It is such a hard fight, but I also love it. And I think most people will agree with my ranking when I put him in F tier. I'm just kidding. He is going in S tier next to Clockwork. This fight is actually awesome. Even though I hate it because it's difficult, I also love it because it's difficult. Difficult fights are not a bad thing, but his story makes sense. Him trying to turn Bentley and Murray against me makes sense. The entire ending makes sense. Like, he is such an amazing villain. I think he's actually one of the most well-written villains. Honestly, I'd even consider putting him above Clockwork. He's crazy good. We're not going to put him above Clockwork, though, just because Clockwork is Clockwork. Clockwork should have his own tier called Clockwork. And now we are on to the best game in the franchise, and by that I mean Sly for Thieves in Time. No, I don't think it's the best in the franchise. I was just kidding. I'm sorry. Anyways, we start off with El Jefe, who I honestly think is a pretty solid first fight. He starts off with a chase scene, and then once you finally catch up to him, he's got a decent amount of moves, 3 phases, and overall a relatively difficult fight, though after phase 1, once you figure out what to do, he gets pretty repetitive, I'm not gonna lie. And I think just because of the repetitiveness, I feel like we have to put him in B tier, but above Panda King, because again, Panda King is just too easy, and he doesn't add anything to his moveset. El Jefe, at least, is the fire guy that adds things to his moveset. Next up, we have Toothpick. Toothpick is in my favorite chapter, but when it comes to a boss fight, I think he's even more repetitive than El Jefe. Now, one thing that Toothpick does have that is really frustrating is he has insta-kill moves. He sends a laser floor that you have to get on your ball and chain to actually not die to it, and if you die, I'm pretty sure you restart the entire boss fight. If not, then you restart his cycle. But basically, you just have to wait till the whistle switches are open, hit him with your ball and chain, and then he says, "Who turned on the blasted whistle?" And then you kick his ass. he turns big, you dodge him, and you kick his ass. It's very simple, but it's not bad. I'm going to put a B tier below Panda King, because I still think... No. You know what? No. We're going to put him right behind El Jefe. because I think El Jefe is still a better and more difficult fight, but I do like Toothpick. So I feel like he is better than Panda King. That might be a hot take, but that's what the comment section is for. Let me know what you agree and disagree with. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We are nearing 3,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the support. Next up, we have the Grizz. Now, when it comes to the Grizz, it's actually a decently difficult fight just due to the timing of trying to break all the ice blocks and hit the Grizz with, because you have a fairly tight timer, and he's also constantly dropping icicles on you. So when it comes to that, it's difficult. And then after you actually get to deal damage to him, you have to ice skate as Murray. And honestly, you guys may think this is weird. I like it. I think it's funny, and it's also very easy. So I think when it comes to just funness factor, the Grizz gets it. I think he's the best boss fight in Sly 4, easily. And we're actually going to put him above Ms. Ruby. And the reason for that, and it makes perfect sense, because it's kind of like a rhythm section again, except this time your inputs aren't delayed, and they're far and few in between. So I think it's just a slightly better Ms. Ruby, but also it is an entirely different concept. But you guys know what I mean. Next up, we have the Black Knight, aka also Penelope. And this boss fight is probably the most anticlimactic boss fight ever. You go up, you shoot her with some arrows, and then she's dead. The Bentley section is a little bit more intriguing, but not by much. I would say she's better than the Mask. She's probably better than Lafouille, but I hate to say it, I think we're looking at below John Bisson. Man, it sucks. Why does Bentley get all the crappy fights? Like, I like Bentley, but he gets all the crappy fights. He's got John Bisson and freaking Penelope right there. All right, and next up is Miss Decibel, and this fight is honestly very, very difficult, and it's because she has, I think it's 5 or 6 lines of, it's supposed to be like a musical. I actually don't know what it's called, but it's supposed to be a musical thing where you have those 6 lines. You gotta, I don't know what they're called, but you have to basically grind rail on them, kind of like Ratchet and Clank, except switching rails is the most annoying thing ever. You'll try to switch 1 rail left, he'll go 3 to the right and kill you. He'll just walk into a thing. It's so frustrating. When it comes to the phase where she's actually like attacking you, she really doesn't have that many moves. I do believe she has a move that can reverse your controls. I might be wrong about that, but overall, I think she's actually a pretty difficult fight, and she's way better than the final boss, I'll tell you that much, but she's definitely not my favorite boss in the game. I would say just sheer difficulty-wise, I'm going to put her above El Jefe. I hate her voice. I hate her as like a person, her character. I just don't like her, but I can respect her for being difficult. All right, moving on to La Paradox. Guys, I'm not even going to ramble on. This is F tier. You already knew it was coming. This is the worst boss fight in probably gaming history. There's so much build-up to this crazy villain, kind of like Klakla, but it's just so much worse. It's just quick time events and button mashing. That's all it is. There's no skill involved. You just press a couple buttons and he's dead. He doesn't even die. This boss fight is the stupidest thing ever conceived, and I'm just not even going to say anything about it because it frustrates me so much. He is by far F tier and is by far the worst villain in the entire franchise, and I will stand by that, and I will die on that hill. Thank you for watching. Thank you, members. If you guys want to become a member, hit the join button down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'm having a fantastic time in Japan. I assume. I'm recording this prior, but I'm assuming I'm having a good time in Japan. If not, then I guess I'll be back soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But Ninja, out.